Hello everyone, Josh here with Gacha Legends. Today we're going to be doing an Eroica beginner guide video. Now, I'm very notorious on YouTube for doing 30+ minute beginner guides, so I'm going to try and cut this one back as best I can. If I hit over 30, I'm sorry. There's just a lot of information, and I like to kind of deep dive into things so you guys and gals can kind of get a good understanding of the game and be able to progress without too much hiccups, but we'll see what happens. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the mistakes that I've made, play testing this game on several different accounts, pushing a lot of different types of content with different types of units. So I'm going to give you guys a little, kind of lowdown or breakdown, if you will, on what things not to do. And there's a couple major ones, honestly. And then I'm going to also talk about some of the functionality and features in the game that you can utilize to best make your gaming experience for Eroica the best it can be, and to kind of progress throughout the game without too many hiccups. And this video, of course, as we always do with beginner guides, is going to be mostly geared towards free-to-plays, because obviously if you're a casual spender or a whale, some of these things that we're going to discuss in today's video, you can kind of bypass that by spending money, obviously. So just keep that on mind when you watch the video. Hopefully it's very helpful, and let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about today is characters. A lot of things that people might not, interpret correctly, or they might misinterpret or just misunderstand completely, is that the 1-star heroes in this game can be just as good, if not better, than some of the natural 3 stars. Because of the way this game is designed, all the 1-star heroes can go up to 5 stars, just like all the other heroes that you can get from banners that are naturally 3 stars. So that's very, very cool. So let's go in. Let's go into the hero collection. This is a very good spot to actually kind of get a good idea of what units are available. And we've kind of briefly talked about this in our reroll targets video. A couple of the ones that we already talked about is, of course, our girl O and Malavi. So we're not going to go too, much into them in this video, because you already kind of get a good idea of how good they really are. Very good reroll targets, obviously. But let's talk about the 1-stars that you start the game with. You got our girl Marion. Marion is an amazing healer. At first glance, I kind of thought that maybe Muda was actually better, but when I started getting into like chapter 4, I started realizing the benefit of what she offers with her skill 2, which is very powerful, and that, of course, is the attack down, which can go up to 100% chance, which is incredible. And the attack down can also go up to 2 turns on top of that, so it's nice. And attack down in this game is 60%, so that's huge. So that's very ideal later on. She also has an AoE heal, small cleanse, and she also heals on her skill 1, while also providing with free mana, because skill 1s always give you free mana. So a heal and free mana in one skill is pretty awesome. Almost took out my desk, guys. I'm getting excited. All right, so Marion is one of the 3 starters that you get at the beginning of the game. You definitely want to utilize her. You definitely want to build her up. And what's really nice is she gets free shards. There's multiple ways to get free shards for her, and I'm gonna talk about a few of the options for free shards later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But that's why we're not gonna be discussing too many of the 2 stars in this game, because the issue is a natural 3-star can get taken up to a 4-star on their pickup banners, fairly cheaply. And you can also go ahead and, of course, buy their additional shards and get them up to a 5-star, but you only have to go from 3 to 4 to 5. So you only need like 350 shards total. Whereas with a 2-star hero, you got to get them up to 3-star, and then 4-star, and then 5-star. And you're probably thinking, Josh, but you just said 1-stars are great and you can invest in them, and you're just, you're telling us that 2-stars are going to cost too much to build up right now, so we should ignore them for the most part and work on a 1-star. How does that make any sense? Because 1-stars would need a whole extra step, right? You are correct. However, this game does a fantastic job of giving you some of those 1-star heroes shards for free. You're able to kind of bypass a little bit of those struggles that you're going to get with a 2-star hero. So that's something that's very important. Now, I'm not saying 2-star heroes are not good and you should not invest in them. No, what I'm saying is just some 2-star heroes for now are best left to be utilized later on. Now, a whale or whatever can come in, buy up all the shards they need, no problem, no questions asked. They can work on them immediately. But as a free-to-play or even a casual spender, I would say, personally, to hold off on 2-star heroes for now, outside of maybe Florence, because Florence is one of the rare occurrences where a 2-star hero can actually be given shards for free through various other means. Because if you just go buy the shards straight up, the ratio is 1 to 1, and then it goes 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, and then 5 to 1. So it gets very expensive trying to buy shards, and you're gonna need 120 to get from to get from 2 to 3. Then you need 150 to get from 3 to 4, and then you need 200 to get from 4 to 5. So that is a staggering amount of shards and a lot of passports, which you're gonna need. And we'll get to what passports are later. Those are basically the dupe currencies that you get for units that you already own, and then you can also obtain them from other areas of the game as well. But back to the units that you get to start the game with. You start with Marion. Fantastic unit. You start with Luna, fantastic. Sai, fantastic. Those are the 3 starter units, and Luna and Sai are the main game's characters. So this is a rare occasion where the story characters are actually very, very good in this game, and I recommend running all 3 of those units with whatever unit that you pull in your selective summons at the beginning when you do your reroll, or when you just start your first account and you get your 20, 30, 40 pulls, whatever they do for global. But we already made a video for that. Definitely check it out. So you want to use that unit with the 3 starters. That is the ideal start, because what's going to happen here is between your 7-day logins that you're going to get as a new player and other aspects of the game, which we're going to discuss later, that give you shards for those particular units, you're going to be able to 5-star your Sai, your Luna, and your Marion fairly cheap, and the best part, they're all 3 exceptionally good units. What does Sai have to offer? Sai is the only unit in the entire game right now, I believe, that gives you an AoE shield based on his max HP, which is incredible. So that's fantastic. And he also has a 45% chance when you completely max out his skill and choose the alpha version of his skill instead of his beta version through Ascension. That'll give you 45% chance to stun with a skill 1. Insane. Now, I'm not going to deep dive into these units too much because I kind of want to do like character previews separately in other videos. Marion, as we already talked about, she can heal. Very good healer, in fact, with a small cleanse and an attack down debuff. Now, Luna is amazing. You only have to get her up to 40% crit because her second skill will do the rest. It'll take her crit all the way to 100%. You can have that up for up to 3 turns when you max out that skill and choose B, the beta version for her Ascension on that skill. And that'll get her up to 100% crit, and then all of her other skills scale to her crit chance, which of course will be 100% or more if you gear her up properly, and she's going to do a ton of single target damage. So she is incredible as well. So those 3 units you start with, I recommend using them going forward with whatever your selective hero is, and then you can focus all your passports into your selective hero to get them up to 5-star, and then you will, at the end of the day, eventually have a full 5-star team, free to play. Efficiency is key because you don't want to waste your resources in a game like this. So that is my big tip right there for which kind of team that you should run as a free to play going forward, or even a casual. Run the 3 starters and your selective pull. Boom, bada bing, bada boom. You're set. You're ready to go. You're ready to go ahead and take the game by storm. Okay. Now, you're probably wondering, there was a lot that I just kind of dived into, a lot of references I made. You're probably a little confused. So Josh, what the hell is a passport? Josh, what are Ascensions? What are these alpha and betas on these skills? Well, I guess we should go ahead and transition into that. So let's go back to Marion. Now you see she has her skills here. Every skill has an alpha and a beta upgrade that you can choose. This allows each unit to be a little bit different from another player in the game. Because one player might decide, you know what, I'm going to go all alpha on my skills. Another player might say, I want to go all beta. Some might go, you know, flip-flop back and forth. And you can reset it for gold, which is exciting. Let me go to a unit real quick and let me explain this a little bit more in detail. So let's go to our actual hero panel. Let's go to our girl, our 5-star girl, Sylvia. Love her. She might be getting a buff soon. That's the rumor. Very excited for that. That'd be great. If you go to Ascension, you have these Ascension passives over here on the right side. Now, based on what star level your character is, will determine how many of these are unlocked. So you get, you know, a 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, and at 5-star. That will determine how many of these are able to be selected. What's really cool is you can choose as you go. For 1-star, I can make her have more HP, or I can make her have more defense. At 2-star, I can also make her have more attack or more accuracy. And, you know, and then 2-star, you unlock the first skill, alpha or beta. So you can choose your alpha or the beta. At 3-star, at 4-star, etc. You get the idea. And then all the way at 5-star, you finally get to choose if you want the alpha or the beta update of the ultimate. So there you guys go. That is pretty much a quick little tutorial on what Ascensions do and what they mean. Also, when you're ascending a character, if you go into here, for example, if I go to a hero that's not 5-star yet and I go to Ascension, you'll see it'll tell you how many shards you're missing. And then when you get that many shards, you will then, of course, ascend the hero and pay whatever the price is, which will also lead to another conversation later on about gold, which we'll get into because that's definitely a mistake too to avoid when it comes to playing it throughout your account. So there's a quick little rundown of that. Now, the other thing we talked about is passports. I referenced passports. You're probably thinking, what are passports? So if we go up here to our inventory and we go over here to our items and then currency, these are passports. These are almost as, I would say, sacred in the game as your actual gems, your pellets. Because these do not come by very easily after you've beaten all the story, do all your sub-quests, your main quests, and any of your achievements. When that's all said and done and the smoke clears, you will be low on passports. The Naya dungeon is the only other big place to get these, but those are all really first-time clear situations. They're not something that you can continuously keep farming over and over again. So you're then going to have to rely on events and building up more gems, and then, of course, going in and summoning for dupes. When you pull a dupe of a 2-star, you will get 10 passports. If you get a dupe of a 1-star, you get 1. I know I said that backwards. It's fine. If you get a dupe of a 3-star hero, you will get 50 passports, unless you're on a pickup banner. If you go to a pickup banner, go here, go to summon here. These are pickup banners. You have group pickup banners, which has more than one rate-up hero, or a single pickup, which has one hero. Now, in the pickup banner, if you pull the hero for the first time, you'll get the hero plus 50 of their shards. If you pull the hero a second time, aka a dupe, you will get the hero's shards times 100. You will get 100 of their shards instead of just 50 passports. These are the only situations where that will work as somewhat of a true dupe system. Otherwise, if you pull a unit that's not on the pickup, it's not the actual rate up unit, or if you go to the general pull banner, which they call the present banner, which also has heroes and pre-cores in it. It's not just heroes, it's a mixed banner. If you pull heroes in any of those ways, it's just going to be passports. So it's not going to be true dupes, it's just going to be passports. Now, when you get enough passports that you want to start buying shards, you go to the meal shop. In the meal shop, you can start buying shards. And you'll see here at first they're a 1-for-1 ratio. And you're like, oh, this ain't too bad. But then it'll go up to a 4. That's getting kind of rough. Or if you start really getting up there, then you got to start, it's starting to cost 5 for 1. So as you can see, if I want to get 164 shards for my soar, it would cost me 820 tickets. So it starts getting kind of pricey. That's why I said at the beginning of the video, you want to use those 3 beginner units because there's ways in the game to get their shards for free without having to go through the passport process, which allows you to spend more time and energy and resources, especially to focus on just taking your selective unit to a 5-star, because unless that selective unit has a pickup banner available and you're summoning on that, you're going to have to go through the passport. So it could be a little bit pricey. So it's nice to just only have to focus on 1 and have your other 3 kind of being built up for free through getting shards from other means, because they have the capabilities of doing that. The 7-day login that you guys and gals are going to get, let me show you this right here. You should be getting this if you're a new player, even if you weren't in a soft launch. Let me go ahead and X out of that, and then it should pop up. There it is. So right here, you can see here on day 3, we got 170 Luna shards. On day 4, 170 Marion shards. Day 5, 170 Psy shards. By the way, Psy also gets shards when you hit certain areas of story, like when you beat certain chapters or do certain quests. He'll also get free shards from there as well. So he's going to be like the only unit that I can think of right off the top of my head that's going to be your, like, a full free 5-star without even having to touch buying passports or shards or anything like that. You just get a straight up 5-star Psy for just doing that stuff alone, and it's great. Whereas with Luna and Marion, you can get them up to a 4-star, I think, completely free, but then you might have to work a little bit to get them to 5. But again, there's still ways to get around that, and it's still the fact that you're getting those at 4-star with minimum effort, and you don't have to waste all of your passports, which again is the key thing here. So very, very efficient if you go that route. And speaking of those, getting additional ways to get shards for those characters, if we go to story has hero quest. These are basically ways to get shards for these particular characters. Right now, you can get shards for Ratinia, Freya, Luna, Marion, obviously, Lisa, Chloe, Florence. As I said, she is a 2-star, so she's kind of like a rare occurrence here that you can do that. You can even get them for Mince and Cass Carson, but unfortunately, I don't really see too much value in Cass Carson right now. Mince is still a mystery because she is based on speed, and we're not entirely sure yet at this time what the attack ratio is per speed. Like, what is the equation there? How much attack are you getting per 1 attack speed? We're not entirely sure. That's going to take more testing. But both those units are 3 stars. Now, Guardian Sai, you get him after you beat all of Chapter 4, and then you can start building him up. And Guardian Sai has a really good skill set. And he's also, I believe, getting reworked as well to make him better. And he was already good, in my opinion, before, but now he's going to be even better. So, those are your 3-star options that you can work on shards. But keep in mind, it will be a slow process, and at least 2 of these 3 units right here, I wouldn't focus too much on. And obviously, Guardian Sai, you can only get him after you beat Chapter 4. So that's going to take some time anyways for a lot of you to even really worry about. But thankfully, you can get Luna and Marion shards here from doing this. You can do this every 2 hours, 4 hours, or 6 hours. As long as you have enough pocket watches, you get 20 or so a day. I think you also get some from your daily missions. So you have all that, which is really, really nice. So hopefully I kind of broke a lot of that down and made a lot of sense. Now, when it comes to stamina, end-game stamina will become a problem. You can only buy stamina 5 times a day, so about 250 for 50 gems. That's if you want to go that route. Probably not recommended long-term for free-to-play because it's over a multi a week. So that's probably not something that you want to do. Gear dungeons are like 12 stamina a run as well, and they're not all that valuable in my opinion, especially if you're able to start farming Knight Tower, which has much better gear. It's a lot harder, obviously, and they're mostly for players that are like already at end game. But I still think overall, I think that'll be the better value end game when you get to that point, obviously. For now, I think just getting the gear from story is good enough. Maybe do a few gear dungeons here and there, but nothing too crazy. Because again, stamina is a little bit rough at the end game when you burn through all your free resources. Now, you do get 50 stamina a day from daily missions, so that's nice. That'll give you up to 300 if you buy them with gems. And then you also get, of course, your daily recharge as, the day goes on. So it's not like you have no stamina at all. It's just expect that to happen late game to kind of run into a little bit of a stamina problem. Maybe they'll address that as the updates come in. But thankfully, stamina isn't going to break your back here. It isn't going to break your love and joy for the game because it does have a lot of different content, which is a lot of enjoyable things to do. Eventually you're going to get to the point where you're just going to sweep ticket all this away, but I think the tower is going to be very challenging. I think Naya Dungeon is probably like one of the true end game modes here, because in Naya Dungeon, it wants you to run a lot of different units because you're basically going up different floors, fighting various teams, and then you got to fight a big boss at the end, like on stage 11. And those give you a lot of first-time clear rewards for passports. Stage 2 gets a little bit harder, obviously, not stage 2, I'm sorry, area 2, and then I believe there's also a third area. Let me double check. Yes, Fatal Deep Forest. I have not been there yet. That's going to be more end game as well. I'm on Echo Cliff right now, but you can kind of move your way up through there. You can also exchange to get NR or even SR and SSR pre-cores, which is awesome. You actually can summon with these little bells that you get up here that you get for clearing the stages, and you can do that one time every day. You can go through one whole sweep every day. Well, I don't want to say sweep. You can't do it on auto. You can do it on auto, but you can't just like instant clear. You still got to go through every little stage, if that makes sense. 11 a day, I guess you could say. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. So you got that going on. Obviously, you got the Azoth Tower. They're making changes for global, thankfully, to where their night mode and afternoon mode are not using the same currency. They're both using their own currency. And as I said, night mode is kind of like you're going to be able to farm some crazy level gear in here. It goes all the way up. Let's go all the way up here. It gets pretty nuts. It goes up to floor 36 right now, but you can farm 1-starred T6 gear. So, and right now, T6 gear is only available in the night dungeon, or in the night tower. It is not available in gear dungeons. Gear dungeons only go up to T5. So keep that in mind. Afternoon goes up to 40. You can see I'm almost there. 61.5K team power suggested. Obviously, team power doesn't mean much because, you know, I've beaten things that are 15, 20K higher than me. Just depends what your team comp is and how you use your skills. Dimensional Rift would be your gear dungeons, guild requests. That's where you go to do your daily gold and EXP potions. And you're going to need that for gold for sure, because gold is another, you know, mistake you don't want to run into later on. When you get to region 6, you're going to get about, you know, up to 120K gold a day roughly. There is another way to get gold in the carriage, but I don't want to talk about the carriage right now. That might be another video because they're completely revamping the carriage in the game. So I'm not even going to really talk about that in today's video because it's getting revamped for global. So I don't want to give you any information that's not going to be accurate literally within the next, you know, 10, 15 hours. Another challenge mode. Oh yeah, the ancient runes. This is where we're going to go to farm up all your runes for your different characters that you can feed in. Runes are very, very important. I'd recommend when you start out to do the first 2 or 3 of every color. Our boy Gurky in the Discord kind of pointed that out. That'd be a good idea. That way, if you pull a new unit that you want to utilize and, you know, it's a different color than the unit you're already using, you already have some runes in your back pocket to kind of throw their way. So that's always nice. Just do the first 2 or 3, and then you can start prioritizing which ones you want specifically and go in and farm those every day, which is nice. The Royal Training Grounds is where you're going to get your skill books for all the different classes of units. You have Slasher, you have Mage, you have Shadow, you have Shooter, and you have Healer. So you can go in there and do those as you need to, depending on what your team comp is, obviously, so you can level up your character skills. We already talked about the Night Dungeon and Azov Tower. Now, for competition, for competitiveness in this game, if you are a whale and you want to flex that wallet, well, we have the modes for you. Crucible and Arena. Crucible is basically you go in and do as much damage as you can. Try and kill the boss. There's 10 variations of the boss, and I believe the last level of the boss, you can just go in there and fight over and over and over again and accumulate as much points as you can based on how much damage you do and try and get on the leaderboards. So as you can see here, leaderboards right now, this guy or girl, whatever, got 48, almost 49 million total season points. I'm not sure how long the seasons are because I kind of started in this one late. But you also get classified as a rank, and then a letter grade, and that letter grade will signify how many rewards you're going to get before the end of the season. The season for soft launch players right now is 6 days. Global players should have theirs completely reset, I'm assuming. I'm not sure on that. In Arena, same situation. You're just going to go in here and flex your might and see what you can do. You guys know what Arena is. I'm not going to go over all that. You've seen that a million times in a million games. One other mistake I want to talk about, we've mentioned a few times, is gold. Let's get back to that real quick before I completely forget. Gold it comes in abundance early on, but then it starts to completely fall off. And as we said, the daily gold dungeon is fine. You're going to get quite a bit of gold from there. But after that, when all that dries up and you get to end game, your gold shortages are going to really start to show up because T5 gear is expensive. I highly recommend not doing what I did and stop at T4 for a while. Don't even invest into any T5 gear yet because T5 is very expensive. Just to level up one piece is going to cost you hundreds and hundreds of thousands of gold, which you're just not going to have because you have to, there's so many things in this game to upgrade. You have your Ascensions, you have your rune level ups. You got to use gold just to awaken your gear to get it to a 1-star, a 2-star, a 3-star, a 4-star, a 5-star. And what's worse about the Ascension for gear is the first Ascension is 100% chance it's going to work. That's fine. But then it goes to 50, and then it goes to 25, then it goes to 10. I mean, it just gets lower and lower and lower and lower. And if you go to Ascend and the gear doesn't ascend, you just lost that gold for nothing and that piece of gear, that spare piece of gear that you use. And to ascend gear, I'm going to make a whole gear video, so I don't want to go too much into it. But to ascend gear, you have to have the same type of gear and the same grade and level. So it has to be, so if I want to ascend this sword right here, I have to have another steel great sword. I have to have another T5 one, and it also has to be red, you know, an epic grade. And then I can feed it in and, you know, go through the RNG after the first star. So the second star to the 5th star is all RNG, and you just gotta hope for the best. But the cost to level up that gear is also expensive. Now, I will say T5 has amazing sub-stat percentages, but the main stat is always going to be your biggest stat. And that's why I always say, if you stop at T4 and you could try and get like a T4 setup to like a 2 or 3 star, before you start moving into a T5, you should be fine. It should still be on par with a T5, if not a little bit better. The substats might be a little bit less, but the main stats still going to be really, really high, and you're going to be able to save a little bit of gold for now to utilize on other things until you can start saving up some gold later on, and then start integrating, you know, one piece at a time, some T5. And that's just my recommendation, just so you don't get into too many gear problems or gold problems. And, you know, it's also good too because your pre-cores, right, like these things up here that work like, you know, they're like memories or exclusive weapons or whatever, they're also going to cost gold to ascend them and enhance them and all that other stuff. So you know, you use gold for a lot of things in this game, and I just want to make sure you guys you know, keep tabs on that so you're not in a situation where you're always running low like I am right now. Definitely don't want to make that mistake. That's why on my other account, my spare account, I'm micromanaging it a lot better than I was this one. So there's all that. Very, very fun. Speaking of runes too, by the way, that we mentioned earlier, runes are basically just a way to get a lot of stats on your character. And I mean a lot of stats. I mean all the stats that you could ever want are in your runes, and you're gonna have to farm that rune dungeon every day. Matter of fact, when you start your account for the first time ever, I recommend trying to unlock the rune dungeon as fast as possible, because the first clear rewards are so good that they're gonna boost all your beginning characters up. Very nice. And another good thing about running the team that I mentioned earlier in the video is they're all gonna be different element characters. If you take one of the 2 units that I recommended from my reroll target video, and then you take the 3 starter characters, you're not going to have too many problems with runes, except for one. If you do take Malavi, unfortunately, Luna is also fire. They are both fire, so they both will use the same fire runes, unfortunately. But if you take O, she's light, then all of them will be different colors. And then you won't have a rune problem for a little while. They won't overstep on, on each other. So there's that, you know, just a little tip there, I guess, if you will. So there's all that stuff, you know, and there's a lot of other things I could go into. I just wanted to kind of cover some of the mistakes, you know, avoid the gold, you know, expect the stamina to be an issue later down the road, but there's plenty of content to do, which makes up for it, which is good. Another big thing, right here in your lobby, this bad boy, you want to pick Ari. She is the best of the 3 that you get to choose from. Pick her up and make sure that you log in every day for 30 days and make sure you get her for free without fail, because if you fail, then you're going to have to use these gifts that you can buy from the, I think it's in the carriage. I think they are in the carriage. I think you can buy them with your carriage points. I'm not sure what the revamp's going to do, but basically you got to use these right here, these crew gifts. You're going to have to give them to them if you miss a day to make up for it. Otherwise, you're going to break their heart, and then they won't want to be recruited by you. They won't want to be your friend anymore. But Irie, you know, of the 3 that you get to select from, choose Irie. She's an amazing buffer. You want her in your team for everything. She's going to be good for so much content, especially like areas like Crucible, where you want to do a bunch of damage and get a lot of cool rewards. You want Irie in your team. So pick her, definitely, and then make sure you log in every day for 30 days, and then you get her for free. So there you go. There's no other way to get these 3 units, by the way, except for doing this at the moment. So there's that. Make sure you do that before log in too on your first day of your account. Make sure you do that. That way you don't miss a day. All right. Make sure you do that before reset. So there's that. That's more or less all there is about the characters individually and some of the mistakes and stuff like that to avoid. I guess now we could talk a little bit about the gameplay, because I don't want to be here for, you know, too long with you guys. We're already pushing, you know, going into the 30-minute mark, which I said I didn't want to do, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's get into the gameplay, because there's a lot of things I could talk about. We'll break those down in other videos, but let's talk about the actual gameplay. So I'm going to go into an adventure mode here. I'm just going to go into something. Matter of fact, I probably could have went into PvP. It would have showed you the same thing, but let's go into story real quick. Now, story is very cool, because story, there's so many things that you can do. You could literally turn 1 hour of a story into 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of grinding, because there's a lot of replay value in going back to a lot of the different areas, because there's secret passages, there's little puzzles that you have to do, there's chests and stuff like that on the map that you got to grab that give you lots of cool rewards, especially the L stages. Those give you a lot of pellets, and those are on every chapter, which are nice. Just a lot of cool stuff. And sometimes you got to go back in to do a 3-star clear if you didn't get it the first time. That way you can collect these bad boys down here, these objective rewards, which give you lots of goodies, especially these 5 pickup tickets and 300 gems. And these, by the way, are on every single chapter. Currently 4 chapters in the game, so you guys do the math. That's 20 pulls there and another 4 multis from your gems. Very, very cool. And that's not including the substats, the main, or the subquests, the main quest, or any of that other stuff that you get to do in story mode, which is awesome. Now, I want to go to, well, I guess we'll stay in chapter 4. Let's just go back an area. Go back an area 2 here. I just want to kind of just jump in somewhere I can kind of show you guys what's up. Let's go up here. Now, I love how you can just move this whole thing around. It's really, really cool. I like it. Let's go back and let's do 4-9. Let's just jump over here onto the Norton Beach. And I think a lot of you will appreciate the environment changes that are made progressively from chapter 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. It seems like they kept getting better and better and better and more creative. There's also obstacles and stuff like that you got to get through, like spikes. You got to use these craftable, tools within the story itself to do things. It's really, really creative, and I like it. At first, I wasn't really on board with it because I'm used to just jumping in and doing, 1, 2, 3 waves, go to the next one over and over and over and over again. So I've kind of learned to love it a little bit. It's a little bit more creative and engaging. So I'm all for it. Now, you can take support units if you want for areas that allow. If you go to a boss stage will have this right here. It'll have a boss orange symbol on it, like 4-7 here. The first time you do a boss stage, you cannot bring a supporter. The second time, though, if you do manage to beat it, and you need help to get a 3-star clear, you can then come back in with a supporter the second time around to try and get that 3-star if you'd like. But you cannot use a supporter the first time through. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I forgot where we're going. Oh yeah, we're going back to the beach. Let's go to the beach. It's summertime. Go to the beach. It'll tell you your recommended power and all the different variable drops and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and jump into here and talk a little bit about the gameplay, and then we'll get out of here. I think I've taught you guys enough for today. Again, there's more to learn. There's more information out there that I will provide in other individual videos to kind of lighten the load a little bit of the intake of information that I'm giving you. And give it a minute. We're on an emulator, so sometimes a little choppy. On phone, it's probably a lot more smooth. Keep that in mind, too. All right, let's turn off auto. There is auto and 2x speed. You can also look at the question mark up here to see what the buffs and debuffs do and what they look like, so you guys can kind of familiarize yourself with them. Okay, so the turn order is on the left side, and it goes from bottom to top. You can actually outspeed things so much so that you can actually overlap them. That is the thing in this game. Attack speed is very, very important on a lot of different units, depending on how fast you want them to be. You'll see your health down here. You'll have your character little cutout, your little bust artwork down there. Now you have a skill 1, a skill 2, and a skill 3. Now initially, they have a cost, a 3-mana cost or a 5-mana cost, for this particular unit for her skill 2 and 3. However, if you do not use that skill, you take a turn. When it's their turn next time, the cost of the mana will come down by 1, to the point where if you don't use a skill enough turns, they become free, which is exciting. And I'll show you guys here if I can. I might end up killing all these though. My Malavi kind of went a little crazy with the burns. You also have this here, which allows you to, use one of your pre-cores, depending on, what unit you're using at the time. And you could also use the cannon, which does a certain amount of damage. It says right here, inflicts damage equal to 30% of your allies' total attack to all enemies. Now, that's not going to work too well for me particularly, because I'm running, of course, Sai, who's based on HP, and Sylvia, who's based mostly on HP. So I'm not really getting a lot of collective damage out of that, so I probably won't use that very often, personally, because of my team comp. I'll use the pre-cores instead, but, to each their own. You can also do this. And boom, you can pass your turn if you don't want to use that unit. Very, very cool. So we're just going to go in here and do some damage. You guys got the idea. You get stun there. Go through here again. I'm trying to set up to where I can show you guys my Kip with... yeah, see right here? Now her mana cost for her skill 2 is now 2, and her ultimate is now 4. So as I said, if you just keep cycling through and not using those skills, you can kind of manage your mana the way you want to, and utilize it how you will. Very, very cool. So you can and it works between waves too, ladies and gentlemen. So if I kill this monster and then I walk a little bit and then I go and fight another monster, everything that I did in this fight will carry over. So if I didn't use a whole bunch of skills for the first couple fights, I'll have everything saved up for the boss, which is, ideal sometimes and strategic depending on what you're doing. So there's a little tip for you guys as well. Let's just go ahead and click auto and go through this real fast. I think you guys and gals get the idea. All right. Oh, you can also click up here on the mini-map, and it'll tell you your progression of how much of the map you've uncovered. So you always want to aim for 100%, obviously. Even if you have to go in multiple times, try to get 100% clear and make sure you get all the individual items that are able to be had, especially the chest and any of the big crystals, the gold and blue crystals, because they give you a lot of gold and they give you a lot of pellets, aka your gems. Okay, so we're just going to finish this fight, and then we'll probably go ahead and wrap up the beginner guide. Hopefully, I taught you guys enough. I know there's still more stuff that I can offer to you all. It's just I feel like I should put those in individual videos because some of them I really need to dive into extensively, especially like when we're talking about gear. Gear needs its own video, period, because there's a lot of stuff to go over with gear. And I have some concerns with gear, not really bad concerns. It's just there's some things that I really want people to know about with gear. And hopefully, you know, maybe they'll even make some changes to it in the future to make it a little bit more ideal. But we'll see. It's a better gear system than Epic 7. I will say that. So if that's any indication for some of you what my thoughts are on the gear system, it's at least better than Epic 7. Okay. So there we got a 3-star clear. You guys get the idea with the whole turn order. You guys know how to manipulate the mana now to save up for some of your skills if you don't want to pay for them at full cost. We've talked about some of the various game modes. We went over some of the better characters and better teams to start with to micromanage your resources. We talked about a lot of different things, including the hero developments, how you can build them up the cheapest way possible, all that good stuff and more. So hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. It was a lot. I tried to talk really fast, but not so fast you couldn't understand me. Hopefully, if you need to turn the speed down to 0.5 or whatever, go ahead and do so. But I wanted to try and make this as short as possible. Hope you all enjoyed today's beginner guided video. It's been a while since I made one. I always get carried away with these, but I love making them for y'all, so it was helpful. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe, turn notifications, join us in the Discord in the description below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, I need some water. Peace.